YouTube! So today I'm going to be showing you how I personally draw faces using Procreate. So let's go and get started then. So first you'll see me sketching out a basic face shape. I tend to just use a mixture of guesstimating, using quick flicks of my wrist to try and get it as smooth as possibly can, and also using a bit of the liquify tool, and of course flipping the canvas to make sure that I do not mess up. Procreate doesn't show me flipping the canvas, but I don't know, maybe that's a video setting I don't know how to disable. Anyway, so you see me drawing some basic things here, like clothing, the boobs. This is a portrait. So like, I'm drawing the top of the chest, and then you'll see me drawing some clothing here. And then I'm going to be getting started with the eyes in a second, and I'll be drawing circles to get the placement correct. And then we're going to be going in and drawing the top of the eye. So it's kind of a half oval shape, I would say, with little eyelashes flicking out at the end. Then I draw in the middles and the bottoms. It's important to draw your eyes at the same step. This will actually help you in order to get them similar. Also, you do want your eyes to be about an eye width apart, no matter what style you're using. You can break the rules, of course, but it just tends to be a little more appealing. Then I draw in the middle line for the lips, and I'm just going in with the basic Cupid's bow shape. You can draw a little V in the middle and then go out from there. And then the bottom, I just draw a little oval for to get the shape first, and then I draw in the line at the bottom. And then here I am going with eyebrows. I don't know really how to draw eyebrows, I just do them the best I can. I know it went by quite fast, but noses, I just draw the nostrils first and then go in with the middle. And then hair, I just mostly a lot of guesswork with hair personally. It's more about faces and hair, but if you want me to do a proper hair tutorial, let me know. So yeah, just doing the basic sketches in, getting it all, you know, basically cleaned up. And then I just start putting in the base colors for everything, or I guess just for the skin this time. And so you'll see I'm going actually in with a soft airbrush. I tend to do bigger brushes later, but the airbrush helps me get those colors in, just getting the shadows in. So you'll see I put a shadow over the nose actually. This will help later in order to define where we want it to bulge up, because your nose bulge ups out of your face. It's not just laying flat usually. So yeah, so there we go, adding in the rest of the shading, and then I go in with one more darker color in a few areas. Usually just things like the neck, the nose, and under the eye, and under the hairline as well a little bit to define those darker shades. And yeah. Oh yeah, and then orange shades will actually help the transition between certain darker shades. It makes it look nicer. And I personally like to add orange right around the eyes, kind of like an eyeshadow. Even if I don't do all the sparkly stuff, I like to add it. I think it makes the eyes pop out. And it also helps draw the bags in without making them look too odd. So now I'm going to go and color just a few more things in. Like here I'm painting in the lips, the eyes, the hair, and the shirt, all in with just some basic colors. These don't need to be worried about until a little bit later. And now I'm going to be starting a process that is called overpainting. So instead of going underneath my line art, I actually put layers on top of it and every other single layer. So this actually will make the effect much more painterly. It will look, in my opinion, nicer for my style of art. And then you also don't worry about line art if you're not all that good at it, which I happen to not be the best person at creating line art. I could definitely be much better. So I tend to pay a lot of attention to neck shapes. So necks are weird. Even I probably don't paint them perfect. But the best way I think to look at it is to see it as a bunch of sharp lines. Necks are not that smooth. If you look at them, they have a lot of weird lines in between them. You have your collarbone, we have everything else. It's a lot of triangles and rectangles there, so you want to make sure to shade it appropriately. And you see here, I'm going to be going in with just a bunch of little shades. It's sometimes hard to see the little bits of work you do on top. And now I'm going to start going into the lips. So I usually start by adding a darker shade into the middle, and then I add some lighter shades towards the big pouty parts on the lips. And of course, we will return back to the lips later to add some extra details, but this is just all about getting in the basic ideas that you want, where the darker and lighter edges are going to be. And then I start doing the cheeks, which are kind of like rounded upside down triangles. It gets the definition in, and you can always soften out later. And then we're going to be moving on to the eyes afterwards. So you'll see me starting to work on the eyelids, making them look cute, adding some extra eyeshadow per se, and adding the highlights there. So that's how I do it. I usually use a much lighter color to add that nice contrast. And then you'll see me starting to do the pupils, and then I add some soft shaded in this case it's a darker purple because I'm doing purple eyes. And then I usually use actually only about 4 shades in the eyes, and then some extra ones sometimes. But there's 4 basic shades in there. There's the base, the darker color at the top, the dark pupil, and then some extra light in the middle. And of course the highlights in the eyes, which is more like a super light yellow. And those are always hearts for me. I like to draw my little highlights in the eyes as hearts. I think it's very cute. It's the best way to go in my opinion. And then you will see me try to attempt eyelashes. They are definitely not my strong suit, but if you want to know the look I tend to go for, it's that dolly-eyed look you'll see in a lot of kawaii makeup, I guess is the best way to put it. So there's a long strand and then a short strand and then a long strand and then a short strand. I think it looks cute, but some people prefer cat eye eyelashes or more natural ones. So that's completely up to you. But I tend to try to do some sharper shapes with the HB pencil in Procreate. And then after I do those, I go over it or under it with some medium soft brush. And then I just go in with the hair. So the hair is quite easy for me. I tend to just do some darker shades first to go over. And then I just slowly get darker and darker as I go along. So with hair, it's actually super important to have a good mix of soft and hard shading. So what that means is you want a difference in textures. So I tend to do a lot of soft shading first. When I say soft shading, I don't mean only doing light contrast. You actually need quite a bit of contrast. I mean doing heavy contrast with a soft brush. And then afterwards, you want to have a hard textured brush. So while you may know about color contrast, you also need to know about texture contrast. It's a very important thing when doing literally anything in art. It'll help really pop certain areas. It's something that took me forever to learn, and it's actually why using different brushes is super important. And here you see me going in with some highlights. Highlights in here, you don't need to use too many, but it certainly is good for highlighting certain areas and chunks. You never want to think of hair as different separate strands. You want to be thinking of it in chunks. Eyebrows, I just go in softly. I don't even fully know what I do half the time. And clothing, I heard somewhere, I forget where, that you should think of clothes like paper. And honestly, it's such good advice. Sometimes I forget it, but using geometrical heavy shapes in clothing will make it look a lot better and more realistic when it comes to form. You really want to be using sharp contrast in color and texture in clothes. It'll help make the crinkles pop. So do not be afraid to make mistakes and to add some weird crinkles in. In the end, it's important. And then after I'm done my art, I go in with some extra things, some glitter in the eyes, some blush for the face, and some extra highlights. I use the multiply layer to pop some shadows in, and then I also use Glow Dodge to make some nice light sources, and then I am basically finished. So thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything else you would like me to try, to teach, or to explain, I am happy to do it. Just comment down below and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.